Hello everyone, this is Menz here. I'm going to be playing the Tier 8 Premium American Heavy Tank, the T26E5 Patriot. Now, being on Corellia defense for the assault mode, a lot of times your team doesn't exactly push out very far. So typically, granted, this is a good tank to do that because it has a bit of armor, good gun depression, flexibility. Without SPGs, it's definitely something which is in my mind. Usually, I like to fight from defending from the defense side, from this side, because it's a little bit easier to defend. Over here, there's a little bit less cover, easier to get flanked. Basically, it's harder to defend the southern side than it is the north. Now, starting out, just kind of looking at the team, it's going to be sitting behind me. I have a T30, SU-122-44, and we have a couple tanks in front of me, Yag Panther, not too bad. So us pushing out here, potentially, we have a few tanks that we can run into that scare me. The T30 mainly. There's also T34. The ISs, they have pretty strong turrets. The IS-6 a little bit less so. Now, starting out here, basically defending from this side. If I can pause this. This goes for any match, not just this match in particular. A lot of times your teammates set up on the edge of these rocks. It's not exactly the best spot to set up at these closer ones in A5 because typically you're within spotting distance of enemies, which typically, in A9, A8, back on this ridge, and sometimes even over here. Typically, if you're supporting, this area, you're going to want to set up back on the edge of the map if you have decent gun depression or it's easy for you to get up there. That way you're not spotted. Even over here works too, but you have slightly worse angles shooting onto the A9 corner. But as far as defending too, you can potentially have enemies come up from here and then slip by into here and start shooting you in the back. Granted, they can get hit from your support tanks once they start cresting here, or they can come down this way and flank you by hiding behind these rocks and taking shots at you. So it's just something to keep in mind while moving up here, but it's still very much worth it if you're in a heavy tank, a TD with a turret or a semi-functional turret, a medium that can kind of brawl it out a little bit up here too. It's worth you going up here because once your team loses the vision, it destroys any support that you can get here because they're going to be spotted every time and take a lot of damage. Now, with these guys pushing up, I decided to push up with them because as of right now, there's no huge risk of me taking damage, but these guys are out here anyway. Why let them take damage? They're not really doing anything, but why let them take stupid damage when I can go up and maybe get a shot off? But my end goal is to back up here because right now both of their tier 9s are in front of us. There's the IS-6, the IS, Yag Panther, and fortunately these guys start pulling back a little bit and we don't lose too much HP. We still have 3 TDs behind us, and my main goal is to try to get them into the fight. And I take a bad hit from that IS not angling my turret in. Granted, this shot that he shot me on, honestly, I don't even see it here. Who knows if I could have fixed that a little bit by pointing my gun to the right. But at this point, until this T30 comes up here, trying my best to get across, the fight. I'm using the free cam. He has waxed the Tiger 1. I pull back just in time. I feel bad for him, but at the same time, once I saw him cresting up, time to get out of there. It's not worth taking a hit from him. But at this point, the T30's reloading. I'm trying to get a few shots off here, and it's nice that these guys are backing up. However, these two guys sitting out here, they're almost certainly going to die unless they fall back, and kind of stagger themselves. So the enemy has to round the corner. So I make the decision, there's no SPGs. And as far as their TDs go, the T30, Yag Panther, they're both up, up in this area. That just leaves, a few TDs, and more or less there's less possibility for me to get damaged from the center here. Right before you go around this rock, it's very hard for their TDs to get shots off unless they're really on this little cliff here. But once you've round here, it's pretty much open season on you once you're spotted. But without SPGs and the lack of, say, like a T30 over there, I feel like it's worth the risk. Especially because head on, we're not going to beat these guys. Especially because we don't have people over on the edge of the map able to shoot up there. Like where the Jagdpanther is, I honestly do not know where the hell that guy's aiming. But at this point, flanking these guys, automatically, you know, luckily they get the Jagdpanther out. He starts aiming my way. It's M26, or not M26, M46. He's kind of aiming in between still, but I pull two guys off of that corner. Focusing on the lowest HP one first. That way we start getting numbers on our side. But the T30 takes the Tiger out. Like I said, he was way too far out away from the rocks. But now we have their pretty much undivided attention because now there's three of us here and the PZ-58 that way. But the T30, luckily, isn't paying that much attention. He's still trying to kill this M58. But, you know, fortunately for us, we're kind of evening the fight here. While there's still four of us, they still have a T30, IS-3, IS-6 with high alpha. I'm mainly just biding my time by keeping my hull safe and, you know, more or less trying not to take any huge hits. This PZ-58, he's in a tough spot. Luckily, he starts getting shots off. But, you know, if he had let us, you know, kind of die without keeping himself in the fight over there, you know, that would not have been good for our team, of course. But at this point, you know, we're tied as far as the teams go. We both have 3 tanks killed. And our south is doing all right, but they're not making too much ground and killing enemies. And, you know, it's up to us to win this. But even with the good penetration, I'm firing up at the T30. I was trying to hit the lower plate. Hitting the upper plate there didn't work out. Now I start panicking here because we lose the or not the T10, but the 110. He was kind of backing up for whatever reason and exposing a lot of his tank to a T30. You know, high penetrating guns, not too smart. But, you know, it does all work out in the end here. And, you know, we're about to lose the PZ-58 with the IS-6 pushing up on him. But luckily, you know, he misses. And at this point, you know, gotta kill the frickin' T30. And that was pretty huge. And the IS-3 pushing into me did us a favor. Unfortunately, though, I can't freaking penetrate him for the life of me. You know, 2 hits. Granted, both of those hits were poorly aimed shots. But, goddamn, like, luckily he didn't get another hit off in the SU-122. But the PZ-58 made the right choice and kind of hid back there. And, you know, the IS-6 can't do much about it. However, you know, one of these TDs, specifically like the Jagdpanther, if he was just a little bit further over there, IS-6 would have never seen him. You just slowly back up as the enemy creeps around and keep them outside of your maximum, you know, view range. No chance that they're going to see you. But if you sit a little bit further over near the rocks, granted, he's way back there. He's not even at the one in A5. You have worse shots. And, excuse me there, not being an A4, they have a chance to spot you. So definitely utilizing view range, more so than hard cover, is important if you're supporting here. But if he was over there, this would have been a lot easier. At this point, though, it's still up in the air. Luckily, we're defending, so the pressure's on them. You know, we're up by a tank, they're down by a tank, and you know we have 2 tier 9s, and we have a bit of 8s compared to, you know, they have a couple 8s and some 7s. But you know, this T25 too, which it was surprising. Like, he honestly might have been back here and didn't get to the fight in time. But if he was there the whole time, shame on that person, because, you know, he has watched all of his freaking tanks die and did not pop out and help. Don't really know why he would have done that. But, you know, at this point, I'm at 3,791 damage, a pretty good amount of block damage, and a little bit of assist. Now, blocking shells with this tank is mainly just hiding your lower plate, making sure you're moving around a bit, angling a little bit, and not giving anyone a chance to aim at, your weaker points of the tank. As far as your weaker points, the edges of the turret here outside the mantlet can be penetrated. They're still pretty strong, but the flatter bits next to the mantlet can be penned by quite a few tanks. And then your cupolas, it's strong but also weak at the same time. You have a couple flat bits on the hull, which can help enemies penetrate them. Granted, they are thicker than the actual upper hull, but overall, I believe they're a pinch weaker, if you're head on against a tank. Now, I was looking to get, my 8th kill here with the T-34. I missed that first shot. I hit him with the second shot. Unfortunately, the gun on this, it's very easy to use, but it is a pinch, just a pinch inaccurate. I was trying my damnedest to get this 8th kill, and unfortunately I had moved up. I should have just stayed at where I was. I would have gotten it, but I was trying to push it a little bit too much. But the armor on this thing, it's not at T-32 levels, but it is very close. So when you're against a lot of 9s and 10s, you definitely have to be a little bit safer with protecting your hull. And sometimes actually when you get close to people, you don't want to push in all the way because they can point down and punch through your upper plate if they're a pretty good tier 8, 9, or 10 as far as penetration and being able to point the gun down. Sometimes you can get some funky shots off your lower plate against some tier 9 and 10 tanks if you stay just off of them and they're pointing their gun down and almost ricocheting off of it. But overall, your best defense in a high tier match, which fortunately this one wasn't, is just staying mid-range, hold down, moving around a little bit just to keep your turret moving, making it harder to hit. Anyway, going on to the the end game results here. Master Badge Ace Tanker, Top Gun Award, High Caliber. Moving on, pretty much no one near the amount of damage that I pulled off here. Luckily I kept my gun in the fight for the majority of the match. I was really never out of the thick of things. Couldn't have done it without the team, of course, since holding that spot without Artie is a little bit tougher. If you don't have support tanks behind you, you have to all kind of be up there. Because if you're all spread out, basically there's no middle ground. Either you're up on that corner, especially without an SPG, or you're sitting back far enough to support the corner without being seen. If you're left in the middle, you're just going to get taken out, or you're going to have to play too careful and you're not going to be useful. And finally, last image here. There we go. Kind of messed up there. I shoot 28 times, hit 23 of them. I penetrate 19. Fairly good numbers, but it's going to show you this gun, not the most accurate, but it does have good penetration, rate of fire, pretty decent damage, albeit a little bit low for a tier 8 heavy as far as damage per shot. 4,259 damage. Essentially one shot of that was a blind shot that I ended up hitting on the T-34. I blocked 1,400 damage and I assisted with 370. But overall, really good profit even without the personal reserve. You don't need a ton of premium shells in this. They just help in clinch moments where you're, make it or break it against, say, like a tier 9 or a 10 with armor. Go with the premium. Just adds a little bit of penetration, but luckily I didn't need that here. But even without the personal reserve bonus, I would have made, about 110,000 credits. This thing, cheap shells, good penetration, high damage potential. It's a very good money maker. But anyway, thanks again for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. This wasn't part of one of my live streams, but if you haven't caught one of my live streams, I live stream here on YouTube several times a week. Feel free to check it out. It's on my main channel page, and there's also a link to a previous live stream at the end of this video. So if you haven't taken a look, give me a shot. Tell me what you think. I always take tank requests as long as I own the tank and have it equipped up. Otherwise, thanks again for watching. Hopefully I'll see you around another video soon. Have a good day.